Man, life. um, I'm just at this place right now where I feel like I'm in a dark night of the soul. I'm having a faith crisis. And also, I'm in this point of getting more clear about who I am and what I stand for, and how I just don't want to compromise myself in the least bit anymore. And it's interesting. I have been thinking to myself that I don't understand how there's so much suffering in the world, how things could just go so wrong when I feel like I'm being mindful. I'm around a lot of people who are mindful and intentional and loving, and then things just don't seem to be going in our direction. I just kind of have this view that it just seems like evil wins, and capitalism and the kind of white people who are racist and oppressive wins, and this culture of patriarchy and colonization is all winning. Why? I'm like, my ancestors, they were enslaved, and it almost seems like my people, to a certain degree, have forgotten. People who are melanated or more melanated, because we all got some level of melanation, because we all come from Africa. We're so divided. So I decided to start listening to more about Buddha. I can't remember his name. Siddhartha, something like that. And how, in his journey, I do find it interesting that his mom died 7 days after he was born. I'm like, and then when he found himself, especially after he had done the 6 years of like trying to destroy his body, who helped him out? It was a woman. Proof that the goddess way is, I'm on the right path. That did prove something to me right there. But just coming to terms with, like, how does the great divine allow itself to be incarnated and experience such horrible things? That is what I'm struggling with. That is where, all of this dark night of the soul is kind of coming from, along with the other things that I talked about. And I'm just kind of getting to this place where it's so much about the individual journey, even though we're part of a collective. It's kind of like the individual journey within the collective. I'll say it that way. Because the story about the woman helping him, she brought him some rice, something like that, some rice. And was like, here, eat this, after he was at the brink of death. But he had that moment of clarity, and it was like, you really can't make it in life without other people, right? But it's helping me to get back to my foundational teachings, one of which is life is about self-realization and self-mastery. That does ground me. And knowing who you are, which is this thing about, there's just certain things I'm here for and certain things I'm not here for. I'm also wondering, I'm going to have to look and see where were the nodes when I became a priestess, because that did cross my mind today, that I might be at a nodal return. And so it's just kind of like time for me to go to a new level. I've spent all these years studying and learning, and to a large extent, the self-realization, knowing who I am. And now it's time to deepen the experience. And sometimes, even those who look like they know exactly what they're doing, they will go through a dark night of the soul. They will go through a time where, you just don't know. And the good news is I'm leaving myself. to be wowed by the universe. Okay, this heat is on, so I'm gonna run because you might not be able to hear me too much. Thanks for listening. So I was making a video earlier, so hopefully I'll be able to clip the two, and this is a continuation. So I just finished watching the video that I was learning about Buddha. I just heard my spirit telling me you need to listen to Buddha's teachings or learn about Buddha. Siddhartha. I can say it now. I heard them say it again. Siddhartha. I feel like I finally have peace. I have my answers. I went to Hawaii looking for answers, man, to be on that sacred land in Hawaii. I just felt so healed. I wanted to go back. I want to go back. It is paradise, but I think that's not really doing Hawaii a great service. That is some healing energy down there. And I didn't post the videos, but I had made some videos while I was there saying, like when I first got there, I'm looking for some answers because I was feeling a little bit in a faith crisis then. That was September when I went. And I was just kind of like, I don't know. I'm just questioning a lot about what I share and what I believe. And I just want to make sure that, I'm doing good work. And so when I left like, oh, got no answers. And I had not been making any YouTube live videos at that point. I hadn't been going live. And I just thought, you know what? I can wait for the answers and to go back live. But I just felt like sometimes you'll have the answers. Just go back live. I just really needed to start going live again and connecting with my community. So, so much has happened that has had me feeling a lot of questions. That's what I'm going to say. I'm feeling doubtful. Let me just put it that way. And it's not like I believe what I think, all the things that I teach and what I have bought into. I don't think it's wrong. My question is, where does it come from? And I just want to be in integrity. That's one thing that I'm getting for myself in this moment of question and doubt. And that is, integrity is very important to me. And I find in spirituality and just in this Western culture that I live in, integrity is lacking in a lot of ways. And it's so easy to take advantage of people that because there's so many people in pain. And then I'm wondering, why does it seem like the bad guys are winning? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up until I watch this video by Buddha. And I'll just kind of go stream of consciousness of what I'm thinking, or, what I learned from this. And I really love that I feel I align with Buddha. Will I ever call myself a Buddhist? I can't imagine that. I'm going to be honest with you because I'm just so down with Africa. I could maybe put studying Buddhism, on my list of things that I do. But I've always felt like Black folk, we need to reconnect with the spirit of Africa in some kind of way, whatever that looks like for you. But my spirit told me to listen or watch some video, find something about the Buddha and learn. And I'm like, wow, I do think I had a Buddhist lifetime before. I really do believe that. That is the honest truth. I believe I was Asian and I had a Buddhist lifetime. And, or at least that's what I saw in my mind's eye. And because I was like, everything that I was learning about Buddha, I'm like, this is me. He told his disciples, you should question me. You don't believe me. You've got to test everything. You've got to learn it. And that's one of the things that Ra'un Nefa Amen, that really stood out for me in the Metu Neter, the book that I read a long time ago. That's one of the things that really stood out. He said, a lot of people know about, but they don't know. You must always know. You must always seek to experience whatever it is that you are teaching or whatever it is that you say that you know. And so that was one of the things that I loved learning about Buddha. And that's how I approach anyone who works with me. I am not the final authority. And that was the other thing. So Buddha's thing is, hey, life is going to have good times and it's going to have bad times. There's going to be good people and there's going to be bad people. One of the things, or things that people do that are good and things that people do that are bad. And something that he said that I have been like, you know, just, I don't know. I've said it before. He talked about how violence begets violence. And the only way, they even talked about how some king went through and massacred his community. Hundreds, a lot of people died. Maybe it was 100 people, but it was definitely a lot of people died. And Buddha was sad, and how Buddhism is not about things being perfect. Buddhists feel it all. At least the video that I was watching is by PBS. Buddhists feel it all. They are allowed to be human. This is the teaching. Humans are allowed to be humans. And so, that is something that I'm very much, that's important to me. We don't always have to be happy. Hard times will come. And it's okay. It's a part of the human experience. But going back to the violence begets violence, the only thing we can do, when he heard about what had happened, he was just resolute and resound. The only thing you can do is work on the inner you. The only thing that you can do is change the inner you. And there's a lady who's in the video, and this is when it really started clicking for me. Her name is Jane Hirschfield. And it says, a tree lives on its roots. If you change the roots, you change the tree. Culture lives in human beings. If you change the human heart, culture will follow. And therefore, the only thing that we can really do is work on ourselves, is to work on our heart. And they talked about, because, it's just like, there's so much meanness in the world. People do so many hurtful things. And I don't remember the 3 things that they talked about, but the Buddha talked about these 3 things that are like bad, like there's violence and, it was these other 2 things. But then also there's the opposite of those. Let's say one is greed. Well, the opposite of greed is compassion. So it's like they all exist here. And it's all about, the condition of your heart. I will say, according to what I saw in the video, I probably need to study more. What people dishing out, it is going to come back to them, And that's important to me. I mean, I just have to be 100 with you, because I dislike how evil some people are. I just don't get it. It makes me so angry. It's like, why be this heartless? I don't get it. But, the only thing that we can do is work on ourselves. And it takes me back to when I talk about the book that I read, Pendulum is the name of it. I always forget it. There's the we time that we're in, and then the me time that we're in. And for me, as somebody who is very we oriented and I care about other people, my question is, how do we navigate this me time that we'll find ourselves in, that this is what's happening? We're moving into that time. At least I'm testing this out. Okay. And so my thought is, it's all about you working to connect with your inner self. And this is why I love the teachings from Ifa, my African spiritual tradition, because it talks about, we have Ori, the seat of consciousness. There's the Ori Inu and the Ipanri. And all of these are different parts of ourselves that what we're working to do is to get them aligned. And the more we have them aligned, we're living according to, spirit. It's like we're guided. And I think that's the thing that is most important. How aligned can we get with this human consciousness that we walk in? How aligned can we get it with the part of ourselves that is not differentiated into this body? It is still outside of the body, and it is what is, connected to the divine. And we want to be listening to that. We want to be guided by that. I think that is that is the me part. How much can I go in within and really tap into the inner part of myself and then bring it out into the world some kind of way? For me, it's all about, are you using your gifts and your talents? The other thing, the last little bit that I'm going to say is I really love that Buddha, especially as he became enlightened, he talked about how everything is connected. Everyone, everything is connected. And that's important to me because we don't realize really where a lot of these teachings that we spout off, we don't actually know where they come from. And so my thing is I want to trace it back as far as I can to, number one, a source that is just sharing it because, this is just what it was, just sharing this wisdom versus I'm trying to get over on you. And that has been the most disheartening thing for me. That is what has made me question everything. It's like, to hear people say, if you're into the law of attraction, that is a huge part of cults and what people do to control other people is using the law of attraction. And it's kind of like the lower, I'm going to be honest with you. Those who are using it, to like take advantage of people in a cult-like way, they're saying the exact words that we say. And that bothers me. I don't want anything to do with a cult. Nothing. And then so much of this Western thought, it's like, where did it actually come from? Who actually said it first? And when we begin to kind of see where it comes from, it's like, I don't know. It's like, if it comes from somebody who's a little bit scammy, is it real? And I'm kind of like, do we take the baby and throw it out with the bathwater or not? Right? But to hear from Buddha say it, and of course, Ra'una for Amen, now I love that Buddha, one of the things that I learned from this was women had no out. Women were highly oppressed in a society that was already struggling. Women were struggling even more. We already get that, right? We know that that's a thing. But Buddha was like, everybody can come. You didn't even have to be a monk to be a part of what Buddha was teaching. So I do love that part. The only other struggle that I have is the lack of a spiritual tradition that is all about women. It stems from women. In this video about the Buddha, the person, and I'm just gonna be honest with you because I know it's probably me being a little bit biased, but the person who I liked the most from that video was the woman, Jane Hirschfeld. I was like, wow, this woman is amazing. Like, this woman is the Buddha in feminine form, right? So that's the only other thing for me. I feel if we do not have a deity that is in the form of she, her, then we're gonna stay oppressed. we're gonna stay feeling, less than or whatever. And if you're watching this and you really want to believe in God, I'm not judging you, and you can, like I said, like Buddha said, you don't have to buy into anything that I say. You can just take it and be like, well, that's where me and Tyra disagree. I don't have a problem with that. But for me, I need feminine. I need goddess. I need feminine. I need goddess. All right. So that's my next journey. And part of that is definitely studying the goddess tradition out of India. That's something I want to do. And just continuing to follow the guidance of my spiritual guides. All right. Well, I do feel better. I'm happy. I feel like I have a path forward now. And it's like, hey, just keep pointing the sisters back to the goddess within them. Just keep pointing them back in that direction. That's my job. That's my mission, is just to continue to support you all in your own self-realization, self-mastery process. And yeah, it's all about the goddess way as I see it. And you are the goddess and you are the way. Love you all. Thank you all for going with me on this journey. Peace and love.